Hello, you're watching episode 229 of Nuggets Dungeon Terrain. In this episode, I'm creating a second set of dungeon crawler tiles for a World War II setting. This time around, it's inside a bunker system. I'm using these tiles to play the Strays, which uses bolt action or 3D printed minis to play a dungeon crawler style game. But you could also make up an interesting scenario for bolt action itself. My starting point is these 4cm high blocks of XPS foam. You can see how I've marked out the wall sections. Then I've cut 1cm block at the bottom for the floor and 3cm walls, leaving the centre part to be used as scraps for other projects. Just like the first project, I'm making game tiles, not a diorama, so I need them to look good but not take up space that could be used for gameplay. To break up the flat walls, I'm using these different panels, different types of thin materials placed in random locations. Going by the source material, there are plenty of pipes or conduits running along the walls, so I'm using some of these lollipop sticks bent at the end to make them insert into the wall. And I'm using lots of components from an old DVD player that I ripped up to act as junction points for those pipes. The objective room I'm doing a little bit differently. I want to use some height in this, so I place one piece that's going to be an insert in a doorway, and we'll have stairs running up to the next level. The scrap that was cut away from the middle of the rooms has been recycled to make extra walls. Especially where the concrete is on the floor, I have used a flat rock to make some indentations. This will just help to add some washes and pigments. Base coat of grey for the concrete, and an off-white and then a beige white for the walls. I wanted the walls to look like they'd been whitewashed. I then applied this enamel wash to the bottom of all of the wall sections randomly to make it look like there was moisture seeping in. I used water straight out of the brushes container, nice and dirty and a lot of ink in it, and just let it soak in randomly to make some pooled concrete effects. To the high traffic areas on the floor, I add this chalk pastel. I start off by applying a fairly heavy amount and then brush most of it off. So I found the challenge was to be able to create areas where line of sight was blocked, but you were not always forced into close combat. I'll also be creating some removable terrain that can be dropped into some of these large areas to break them up a little, maybe half height, so that you can take cover, but it doesn't totally block line of sight. And if you haven't joined me before, the other important thing is that I can fit all of the terrain in one tub.